Jets fans have hit the point of no return. They don't want Justin Fields to take the field as the team's QB1 anymore. Is it Tyrod Taylor time? So let's talk to Matt O'Leary from the Just Jets podcast on who he and the fan base wants as a starter for the rest of the season. Matt, man, I wish I could be coming to you on a little bit more happier terms here. I appreciate you hopping on with me, my man, but I'm going to get straight into it. Where do you and the fan base point most of the blame when it comes to the Jets offense being so bland and so non-productive? Offense coordinator Tanner Engstrand, or are you going with Justin Fields on this one?
I honestly think it's a little bit of both. I think when you have a young play caller, this is the first time being an NFL play caller, there's going to be some growing pains. I think we saw that this past week against the Denver Broncos, but overall, I think he's done an okay job. For Justin Fields, it just felt like he was second guessing himself in this game, took 9 sacks, is just didn't like what he was seeing out there, never really took off and ran either, and just seemed like on the throws that he was willing to make was late on a lot of those. So I think it's a combination of the play calling and the quarterback play. Although from this most recent game against Denver, I think the line held up okay, but the sack numbers don't look great because, Fields was holding onto the ball for nearly 4 seconds, which is far too long in the
I
NFL.
know you've already watched the All 22. If you go back and watch the last play at the end when he gets sacked, I can't make out who exactly it is, but one of the offensive linemen are having a fit. I think it's Mimbu.
Yep.
He's just throwing his arms around. He looks like he's upset, whether it be because they lost or it could be because they felt like they held up against that cover zero blitz and that ball should have been delivered. So you've got the entire fan base. You've got people on ESPN, all the talking heads wanting to go to Tyrod Taylor. Does it make sense to replace Fields with T2 with Garrett Wilson being out for a couple of weeks? It's like, why do you people think that Tyrod could just come in, wave a magic wand, and then the offense just poof gets going?
Yeah, this week in particular, I don't think it's going to matter much if it was Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor with having Garrett Wilson out. Although I will say in the game against Denver, I thought maybe they should have made a quarterback change, right? And that doesn't mean that you can't go back to Justin Fields the following week. But in the second half, it just felt like he was so gun shy to try to throw the ball. And, we talked about the 4th and 8 sack that he took on the play before, had Garrett Wilson open on a speed route and just gave a late ball. And unfortunately, it was an incomplete pass. At least with Tyrod, I feel like he has a more willingness to push the ball down the field and might take a little bit, make some more mistakes, but isn't afraid to let it rip. So I thought, maybe coming out of the half, you go to Tyrod Taylor for the fourth quarter when it was obvious that they weren't moving the ball with Justin Fields, but not to the point where you're starting Tyrod Taylor for the rest of the season. I don't think it would make that much of a difference, especially with Garrett Wilson out.
With the way this season's going, it's looking like the Jets are going to be able to pick the top quarterback or just top player in this draft class coming up. Let's say it is a quarterback. The Jets can go up and get one. Do you and the fan base trust Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn to draft a quarterback in the first round next offseason?
I think the jury's still out on it, to be honest with you. I need to see how the next 11 games go with this coaching staff and regime. If the draft was today, I think you say no, just based on what we've seen through the first 6 weeks of the year, but still a long way to go in this season. They, at least to their credit, seem to have hit on their first round pick from a year ago in Armand Membu. But drafting a quarterback's really hard. The Jets haven't had much luck trying to find their franchise quarterback over the last few years. Whether it's Zach Wilson in 2021 or, Sam Darnold, who's playing much better football now, but didn't play well for the Jets when he was drafted in 2018 in the years that he was here. So it's not an easy thing to do. And if they finish this season winless, which right now they're 0-6, it's going to be hard to justify bringing them back and giving them that option, I think.
You mentioned Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold, 2 quarterbacks that they drafted. If you throw in Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields, 2 guys that they got in free agency, those guys are kind of struggling. 2 of those guys on that list, like you've mentioned, have gone on to play 50 times better than what they did while they were wearing green. So in your opinion, why is playing quarterback for the Jets a death trap?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of 2 things. One, the coaching, and 2, the state of the roster. I think, With Zach Wilson, they were in a better spot with some of their weapons after that 2022 draft class, and some guys just don't have it either. Like that's a part of it. But for Sam, I don't think he had the coaching staff in place, even when they went and hired Adam Gase after his rookie season, and their offensive line was terrible, and they had no playmakers. So I think that was a big part of the reason for Sam in particular with his struggles. But for a young quarterback, you want to give him almost a perfect scenario. You want to have a strong offensive line, some wide receivers that you trust, a strong running game, and put these guys in a situation for them to have success. I think the Jets have kind of just thought the last few times that, we'll find the quarterback and everything else will fall into place. It doesn't always work out that way.
All right, Matt, thanks for hanging out with me, man. Better days are coming. I can't promise that, but I hope that.
I hope so too. Thank you so much.